It is Thursday, April 16th. Joe Delarone, Juts, and welcome to the daily COVID-19 Task Force update. Today, I think we're going to have a bit of a briefer briefing. We have two guests, and the reports shouldn't be as lengthy as they've been for a couple of days. So we'll get right down to it. So welcome along, and let's welcome Lisa Westaway from the Kahnawake Memorial Hospital Center. Lisa.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Very short today. We wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that over the last while we have been mentioning that we were going to be hitting a peak this week, closer to the 18th. So if you're watching the numbers, you've seen that there's been a significant increase in amount of deaths in Quebec. In fact, the numbers have almost doubled over the last 3 days. So we're really seeing a steep rise in the number of deaths that are happening. We can't say if we're about to hit a peak or about to drop off. And just a reminder that hitting that peak doesn't mean that we just, come completely down and that everything's back to normal. It's a flattening and leveling off that happens, and then hopefully a decrease afterwards. And the importance is to continually maintain the measures that we are implementing so that we can continue to keep those numbers down. At the testing site today, our numbers went a little bit back up. So we were nine people who were tested. Yesterday, only 3. So I think that you've been listening and you've been calling, and hopefully that continues. I want to remind you that if you don't have symptoms, it's not really the time to come and be tested. Even if you feel that you may have had a contact with somebody who's positive, you have to wait until 24 hours after your symptoms develop. Otherwise, your results could be very misleading. So if you come for testing without any symptoms or too early in the process, your result could be negative, and then you may develop a positive result a few days later. So it's always better to wait until 24 hours after your symptoms have started. And remember, the symptoms, the most important or the most common symptoms that we see are cough, fever, and or respiratory distress. And again, yesterday, if you watched the video, the live update, we talked about other possible symptoms that you could have in combination with those major symptoms. So it could be runny nose, it could be some gastrointestinal issues, it could be muscle aches or chills. So please, if you have symptoms that are unusual, if you feel like you're not well, please call the testing site and ask to be tested. That's really the only update that I have today. Really important, again, to be tested. We need to test people so that we know what's happening in Kahnawake, so that we can make decisions, so that we can also protect our elders and our most vulnerable population. And remember, we've talked a lot about our vulnerable population and we talked a lot about our elders, but there are some instances where young people are being very seriously affected by the virus. It's very rare, but it does happen. And therefore, yes, we talk about putting these measures in place for the greater good, but part of the greater good is each and every one of us, because we cannot be sure of when we might be a person who is impacted by this virus. So the measures are very important to be widespread and concern all of us, no matter what our age is. So thank you very much. Please continue social distancing, self-isolation. If you have symptoms, make sure to be tested, and always wash your hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. And once again, if you wish to be tested, all you have to do is call the Kahnawake Memorial Hospital Center, 450-638-3930, and the extensions are 2296 or 2275. You can start phoning as of 8 a.m. They start doing testing from 11 o'clock, and that lasts until 4 every afternoon. And again, we're one of the few places right now that's doing that. Coming up next is a gentleman who celebrated his birthday yesterday. I don't think it was a gigantic party with 500 people there. Not that he's not popular, only because of the social distancing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Arnold Lazar. And happy birthday.
Thank you, Joe. So today I'm going to continue talking about balance. We need to find the balance. Start by reminding people that the restrictions in place are to ensure the safety of our residents. And that has been the paramount item when we're making any decisions. I need to point out, as Lisa mentioned, we have not yet reached the peak. We don't know when the peak will be exactly. We have a good idea, but we're going to only know that when the numbers start declining, and they're not there yet. Lloyd and Lisa have highlighted the issue with the government making contradictory statements. On one hand, everything shut down till end of August, but they want to start business back sooner than later. So from the task force, we are maintaining the same provisions that we have done all along. We are put measures in place that are protecting our community members. With the government's recent loosening of some items, it's caused a lot of confusion. I'm going to talk about what is allowed. We know that emergency repairs to homes are allowed. If somebody's got a roof leak, it's allowed. If somebody's door falls off, it's allowed. If people are getting new appliances because the essential appliances are not working, fridge, stove, washer, dryer, those are essential. A sofa is not necessarily essential. You're allowed to go out and get supplies. So if you need supplies, we say shop Kahnawake, but you can go out and get supplies. And people can deliver outside the community. We've had a lot of industry saying, people aren't allowed into my business, but I'm able to offer this. Well, if they deliver outside, they're going, and the outside people are not coming in. We also will look at what's not allowed. The rules that the government came out were quite confusing, and people thought it would be an open door policy. We know that the peak is not going to be a sudden drop. It's going to be a gradual slowdown, but new construction is not allowed. So if someone hasn't started a construction site, it's not allowed. The outside pool companies, and we've had a lot of requests. The people that work in the outside pool companies are not allowed in the community because the restrictions still in place. It's once again, it's to protect the residents. So I've been in touch with all of the pool companies, and I informed them that the directives as of this morning have not changed, and if their employees came in or were found to be in, they would be subject to the consequences. So please, I would say if you contact the pool company, they're going to tell you we were contacted and said not to go in. Now, the other item we're talking about is we've changed it to 2 weeks. A few weeks ago, we were saying 3-4 weeks, and we were looking at a longer period. Lloyd has talked about we're looking at 1 week and 2 week time frames. We're trying to be optimistic, but we're also being realistic. And so we need to really not open up the gates and let everybody in. So that's the issue with pools. We have a danger in the sense that if we let up what we're doing, this we don't know what this virus will do. It's got a lot of different versions. We've heard rumors that it's mutated in India. So nobody knows, which is why we're staying the course. I'm going to end today by talking about what's going right. And if we look at what's going right, then that gives us more indication than the directives we're using are helping us. For me, the three important numbers are still at zero, and that is the hospitalizations, the people in intensive care, and the number of deaths. Kahnawake, you're doing a good job. Keep up the good work. The food supplies are very stable. Okay, the community stores have been doing an excellent job. There's deliveries for the people that need it. You look on Facebook, and if someone is real dire needs, there's 50 to 100 people offering to help. That's working. That all tells us that the directives are working, and that's what we need to do. So I'm going to ask you again to be patient. Instead of a month, I'm going to say, can you be patient for 2 more weeks? We will know probably by next week what this numbers are doing, and we will act appropriately. We intend to try and ease up as soon as possible, but now is not the time. Kahnawà, take care.
All right, thank you, Arnold. And of course, if something is decided, you guys will be the first to know, because we do this each and every day. If you're a new viewer, we come on every day around the same time, anywhere between 4 and usually before 5 o'clock with these daily updates. No matter where you're watching from, we welcome you and thank you for watching. Just a couple of notes here. Yesterday there was a press release put out by the Court of Kahnawake, and in case you missed it, there will be no court hearings or court sessions coming up until August 4th, and that's assuming, of course, that this will all be under control by then. But if not, the further announcements will come. One other note from the court is that, unfortunately, the justices of the peace will not be performing marriages during this time as well, all for the same reasons. So there's a little bit of a note for you. Also, just want to mention the Spring Cleanup Challenge. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Because the Eastern Door is not doing it this year, so our Kahnawake Waste Management Department is putting together a cleanup. Different rules. It's only the people in your house who will go and clean up an area. You take a photo before and after, and there are prizes. As a matter of fact, today it was announced that there's an extra $1,000 worth of prizes for participants, so that's pretty good news. To get involved, call them at 450-632-4321, and you can talk to them. They'll give you details on what you have to do and how it all works and how you'll be eligible. So instead of hearing me talk about it, you can talk to them. Just a note for tomorrow as well, Dr. Annick Gauthier will be here, and she'll be answering questions once again. If you do have a question, there's still time to send it to questions@mck.ca. I believe that's about it. So with all of that, we'll leave the last word to Lisa Westaway, who has something else to add, and welcome back.
I'm sorry, I had a very important update to give you, and speaking of really positive things, I wanted to mention a couple of days ago, just after the weekend, we talked a little bit about a lot of the changes that were happening in long-term care facilities in order to increase the amount of safety and decrease the amount of risk to our residents. And one of those elements was to ensure that employees were only working at one particular location. And I mentioned that that might have an impact on us because we have many employees who are part-time in several long-term care facilities. And so the contingency plan that is being put forth today, that has started at KMHC, is to look at cross-training. So what does that mean? It means that there are some employees whose service offer may not be required at this particular time. they will be trained to be able to work in inpatient. So to make up for the loss of employees that we're having, that we have leaving at the present time. So those people who are leaving are very important to us. There are many different reasons why somebody would have to leave versus stay with us. And of course, there is no judgment about that. They maintain all of their privileges, and they retain their employee status with us. And once this pandemic is over, they will be back working with us. However, for the time being, this is what has to be done in order to ensure that we have the most safety measures implemented at KMHC. So really what I wanted to say is a very, very big thank you, because we have activity specialists, we have educators, we have many different employees who are actually being trained to be able to work on inpatient in order to replace those who have left. And I wanted to reassure you that they will be trained by specialists, by trainers, and they will have all of the competencies required to be able to do their job in a very safe manner. And that is something that's very important to us. So I just wanted to give that information, and it's really to keep you up to date about what's happening in inpatient. I think that that's important. We've said that before, but also a very big thank you, because we see that our employees are really stepping up to the plate. This is a group effort. This is not about the individual. This is all of us working together to ensure the safety of our community. So thank you very much. And I think that is the end of the presentation for today. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you here again tomorrow.